Hello everyone, John12 back here again with another video. Now today I'm going to be doing something kind of different. In one of my previous videos I gave my personal thoughts on the first look of Gine. For those of you who do not know who the fuck Gine is basically the mother of Goku. Yes, we know pretty much everything there is to know about Goku, his father, where he came from, what his destiny was supposed to be, and how, of course, he eventually ended up. But we never knew his mother and the total backstory of her and her story. Well, we finally got it, and essentially, it's a real mind fuck. It's really twisty turvy, topsy turvy type shit, and it's definitely a good, interesting storyline. But because it's canon, you have to take it serious. And seeing as how it is done from the creator himself, Toriyama, I have to look at this and be like, wow. But personally, this is my personal thoughts. This is very subjective. It's my review on Dragon Ball Minus, which is essentially a short story that's an add-on to the two chapter volumes to Jocko the Galactic Patrolman. For those of you who don't know what Jocko is, essentially it's a prequel story to Dragon Ball. It doesn't really have anything to do with the Dragon Ball storyline, with the exception of a few things. But for the most part, it's its own original story. But it has tie-ins to Dragon Ball, and for this new issue, Toriyama decided to add on a storyline, a very short storyline, to go along with that, and that is essentially the story of Gine, but not only the story of Gine, but a retelling of the origin story to Goku and how he ended up in Earth. But let's get right started into it. Before I give you my overall thoughts on it, I'm going to give you a quick synopsis. I'm not going to give the entire story away because, you can easily go online and look it up yourself, and personally, I don't have like an hour to just give you all the details, but essentially the story takes place the time period in between the destruction of planet Vegeta and the time period where Goku gets or Kakarot gets sent to Earth, and it marks obviously the first appearance of Goku's mother into the Dragon Ball franchise. And essentially Bardock is conquering planets while ironically at the same time Frieza decides to destroy the entire planet because he hates Saiyans. It's kind of funny when you put it in words that way when you think about it real quick. It's like, wow, it's like during this time you would think there's peace and tranquility and there's just people fucking because it's awesome. But no, it's like the Saiyans are doing what they do best, which is destroying things, making people's lives terrible. And Frieza's like, I just feel like killing them. Let's just kill them. That's some fucked up shit, but moving on. So Frieza decides to eradicate the Saiyans genocide, obviously, because he believes in that, and gives out a universal order that all Saiyans must return back to their homeworld. So, obviously, Frieza can fulfill his mission is to destroy all of the Saiyans. Simultaneously, Bardock thinks it's a trick, being the genius that he is, apparently, and decides that apparently Frieza has other misleading plans, so he decides to send away Kakarot to another planet so that he won't be involved and possibly end up leaving himself with Gine and Raditz. Unfortunately, of course, that never takes place because, of course, he gets fucked over in the end, as we all know. But simultaneously after that, Vegeta is on another planet with Raditz, a teenage Raditz, or a kid Raditz, if you will. And essentially they're just discussing whether or not they should go back. And Vegeta decides, who gives a fuck, I'm just going to stay here. So they end up staying, so I guess that gives you that. And of course, the terrible fate that we all know and come to understand. Goku goes to planet Earth, and Bardock and Gine die with the rest of their Saiyan comrades. And that's essentially the story. Of course, it gets more in depth the way I'm giving it, but I'm just doing a quick synopsis. Now let me give you my thoughts. I really love this story. It's really interesting. I really like I just love it when Toriyama or someone who has creative control in the Dragon Ball franchise to like get more involved in not only the lore and the history of the Saiyans, but just like an overall like synopsis of like Goku's family, because we never really get into that. We got Bardock, the father of Goku storyline, and we got, like Raditz and Goku's dynamic in the first chapters of the manga. But overall, we don't really get in depth with his family, because as we all know, Saiyans don't really care about their own. They just move on. But overall, it's just a really interesting story. I like Jine's characterization in this storyline. It fits the bill, you can really see where Goku gets majority of all his good heartness, even though he looks exactly like Bardock. But I really love her character. I already gave us an overall. I already gave my overall gist of like what I like about her. So of course you can go and check out that video. But overall, I like the story. I don't really like how Toriyama has rewritten the prehistory of the destruction of the Saiyans. Because like Frieza synopsis, it doesn't really bother me that much. I mean, overall, his causes for wanting to destroy the planet Vegeta, because supposedly his reasoning is that he keeps hearing the legends of Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan God. Ironically, who didn't see that coming? But basically, he keeps going back and forth like what he should do with the Saiyans, and overall, he comes up with the plot of like, well, he knows the Saiyans are powerful, and he knows that regardless of these legends are true, the Saiyans are way too prideful to ever continue on living as his slaves, so he just decides to blow them up. That whole twist doesn't really bother me because overall, it doesn't really matter what Frieza's intentions are to destroy the planet. We already know that he believes in genocide and believes that anything that's a threat to him must be destroyed immediately, so that doesn't really bother me. What really bothers me is the fact that Goku is fully aware of his parents. Just in case you don't know anything about Dragon Ball Minus and you haven't looked up the story or read it in person, then you must know that so far as we know it in the Dragon Ball franchise, Goku is born as an infant. He has no knowledge of his history, his past, his parents, his whole race. He has no knowledge of it. He's a few days old, and he gets sent to Earth immediately, like all Saiyan babies do. Apparently, in this story that Toriyama has rewritten, apparently Goku was Kakarot, or Goku, it doesn't really matter. Goku was born 3 years ago already, so he's already 3 years old. So he completely knows who his parents are. He knows the Saiyan history. He knows his brother. He knows everything. He's 3 years old, and he's been living in an incubator, like most babies do when they're first born. But 3 years, Jesus Christ, that's one of the things that really got to me. Like, really, 3 years old? He's already alive at 3 years old? Jesus fucking Christ, that's crazy right there in and of itself. Like, I don't really know. It's one of those things that I wouldn't have gone with. But what can you do? He's the creator. He can do whatever he wants. But I just found it to be strange. It's just weird. 3 years old, and it kind of makes the story more sad when you see it that way. It's kind of like, it's not like the story that we've been seeing already, because Goku is a free spirit. He's a free spirit, so him not caring or wanting an interest to know more knowledge of his backstory doesn't really bother us, because we know that he knows that everybody believes that you can change, and he believes that they could have changed with the right push, just like he did with everyone else. And plus, because he's such a free spirit, he just continues on. He doesn't look back, he looks only forward, which is what makes Goku so great. But this story kind of makes it more of a sadder story. It kind of makes you feel like, God damn, he knew. It's kind of like Wolverine's story or Superman's story. It's like they have this humongous origin story that's so sad and depressing and goes so many twists and turns. And like once they get to this point where they lose all their history and memory, it's like, God, it's so sad. It kind of makes you want to cry. But overall, that's one thing that I didn't really like. I don't really like the fact that Goku is already like practically a grown kid and like has full knowledge of his parents and his history prior to going to Earth. But what can you do? Another thing I don't really like is the changing of Bardock's story. as we all know, the Bardock, the father of Goku storyline is really epic and great. For any Dragon Ball fan, I'm pretty sure you already know that. It's just an amazing story, and in that story, Bardock recovers from an injury from a prior mission and discovers the truth behind what will happen to his planet and what Frieza plans. In this storyline, they completely disacknowledge that, making that non-canon and just making it as if Bardock, with his wit or his inner knowledge, developing a plan to just get away with it all, and just not acknowledging the fact that what will happen in the future. But he apparently has premonitions, which is kind of good, but it's not fully acknowledged the way it did in the previous storyline. But apparently he has this knowledge of, like, Frieza has misleading plans, and I'm not going to be here for that. Eventually he does, but that's besides the point. So I don't really know. This storyline is very interesting. That's really the overall thought I can really give you guys. I mean, if you haven't looked it up and read the storyline yourself, I just have one thing to say. Before you read it, have an open mind, because really, like, it kind of makes everything you known about the origins of Goku kind of be obsolete, because it's like, god damn. The only thing I don't like, well, I like the majority of the story. The only thing I don't like is the fact that Bardock, the history of Goku storyline, is completely unacknowledged, and it kind of feels non-canon now. And another thing I don't like is the fact that Goku is the age that he is, and just inconsistencies like that I just don't like. But overall, the story is really good. I really like the artwork. I think Toriyama did a good job at showing, like, Saiyan life prior to the destruction and eventual deaths. But I do like the little, like, relationship between Bardock and Gine, because you don't really get relationship, feelings like that in Dragon Ball. I mean, sometimes you do with Goku and Chi-Chi, and sometimes Vegeta and Bulma, and occasionally Gohan and Videl. You occasionally get it, but for the most part, relationships go to the wayside when it comes to fighting and the action of Dragon Ball. But overall, this story is definitely interesting. I don't really know what to rate it as. I guess I would give it like a good 7.0, like a good 7 out of 10. It's definitely good and a good read. It's just really like a mind fuck, where it makes you think, like, God, like, everything I was led to believe was bullshit. It's kind of like finding your dad. It's kind of like growing up and finding out your dad the whole time was just a douche. It's just crazy. I don't know. But I really liked it. It's definitely enjoyable. It's just, I didn't really expect all that. I was just expecting, like, a full Gine story, not like a whole, like, Bardock and Goku and, Frieza story. It was kind of strange, but I guess I kind of enjoy the tie-ins. But for those of you who have zero idea what the hell I'm talking about, it's called Dragon Ball Minus. I definitely suggest anybody checking out if you're a Dragon Ball fan and you want to know more about the history between not only Goku but Bardock and Gine. So I definitely suggest going online and checking it out, or maybe buying it, because it is out. But I don't think that's only in Japan. I don't really fucking know. But just look it up. And that's going to be it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this little review. Well, not really little, but this overly rambled review of my personal thoughts on this story. And overall, I have to give you guys these questions. What do you think about the story? What do you think about Gine? And what are your personal thoughts on the disregard of the Bardock, father of Goku storyline? And what do you think about the whole Kakarot being 3 years old and being aware of everything? Do you think it's sad, like I do? But that's pretty much it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this little manga review from me, John Dricker 12.